Have you ever sat in front of your sketchbook, tablet, or your DAW thinking, wow, I have zero motivation to do anything today? Or maybe you've said, I'm just not inspired to do nothing right now. We've all been there. But did you know that motivation isn't something you have to wait for? And it's actually something you can build. In this video, we're going to break the myth of magical inspiration. We'll explore how science, specifically behaviorism and interbehaviorism, explains motivation not as a mystical inner spark, but as something entirely observable, predictable, and modifiable. We've been taught that motivation is this emotion that strikes like lightning. But in behavioral psychology, motivation isn't about feelings, it's about patterns. Everything you do repeatedly, you do them because they've worked for you before. If you finish a piece of music or a painting and people cheer, share, or buy it, you're more likely to make another one. And that's the principle of reinforcement. Reinforcement, it's not just a technique to train dogs. It's in pretty much every second of our lives. If every time you post your art, you get 1 like and 0 comments, you'll probably feel discouraged. But if you get a lot of feedback, you will feel more engaged and most likely do it again. That's not motivation. It's your environment shaping your behavior with reinforcement. And personally, I think that's one of the issues with today's main method of sharing your work, right? You have to be extremely consistent in making amazing content to satisfy the gods of the algorithm, which is why a lot of people quit at the beginning. They are not having a lot of exposure or interactions from people, leading into the extinction of creating. But all of us who are just getting started absolutely know how significant and how great it feels to have one single person write a great comment about our work, which is gonna make us keep doing it. Now, if there's anything I want you to take away from this video, is this. You don't need to feel motivated to get started. You need structure, feedback, and meaningful rewards that come from you taking action. Behavior analysts like Linda Hayes have pointed out what we call motivation is really about how your environment makes certain actions more likely to happen or not. That's called motivating operations. So instead of asking, why I'm not feeling motivated, try to ask, what in my routine or surroundings is pushing me to act? When I started posting about a month and a half ago, my friends were really supportive, liking and giving me feedback. But as I kept uploading, most of them stopped engaging, probably just lost interest. I could have stopped because of this, and traditional theories would say my motivation decreased. But from an interbehavioral perspective, the feedback contingencies have changed and could have led me to stop posting. But I didn't. Strangers started engaging, which reinforced my behavior. So here I am, still doing what I've been doing for the past 6 weeks. I know it's not a lot of time. We'll see how it evolves. If you don't want to depend on social media reinforcement, try this. Break your tasks into tiny steps. If you finish one, you are already making progress. For my fellow music producers, making a song is a long process. Try to break it into composing, arranging, recording, mixing, and mastering. And you can even break each of those further down. Painters and writers can do the same. And add a reward right after you create. After completing one of those tiny steps, like writing a chord progression or the base layer of your painting, watch your favorite show, have a snack, or go to your favorite cafe. Because you're not lazy, you're not broken, you're just responding to your environment. Sometimes we like to say, oh, I'm sabotaging myself, when in reality, We've just stopped getting reinforced. Let's say a photographer stopped taking pictures because their last exhibition went pretty bad. They're not afraid of success, as a lot of people could say. They're just avoiding more negative experiences. That's totally normal and predictable in behavior terms. No one wants to have negative experiences, right? But a lot of people know how to confront them. When something goes wrong, like that photo show flopping, it's totally normal to want to avoid jumping back in. But instead of waiting around for motivation to magically show up, it helps to make things easier on yourself and lower the friction so that starting again feels less like a chore. You can try by rearranging your workspace to make your art tools visible, easily accessible, and I assure you this will increase the likelihood of starting again. Something I love to do after finishing a music session is to spend a few extra minutes tidying up both my desk and my Logic Pro project. I organize the tracks, label everything clearly, and leave written notes inside the session about what I plan to do next. That way, when I come back later on or the next day, I'm not wasting time figuring things out. I already know if I need to record a new instrument, if I need to keep mixing a certain section, or start composing a new section. It's just so much easier for me to start a new work session this way. Painters can do the same by prepping their workspace, cleaning brushes, leaving out the next colors they plan to use. Writers might draft the next scene or just paragraph an idea before closing their document, so you're not starting from zero the next day. A little setup now makes it way easier to jump back in later. Some environmental tweaks that could work for you is to have your own dedicated workspace where you only do your art, not waste any time scrolling your phone, watching TV, getting distracted with anything. You can use timers to track how long you've been working on your art. I use this all the time to take breaks and to know when I need to jump back in. Set your phone to sleep mode or silence the notifications. I literally have 0 notifications on my phone. I have everything turned off. I cannot stand being focused working on any song, on a podcast, on a video, or whatever, and having my phone all the time just buzzing around. It's so distracting. Turn it off. It's gonna make a huge difference. You have no idea. But sometimes setting up the right environment means looking closely at the people around you as well. This is not an art example, but it shows how far some people can go in order to achieve their goals. My psychologist once told me about an episode from one of those home and health makeover shows. It featured an overweight couple who spent most of the time lying in bed or on the couch, eating junk food all the time, watching TV, no movement at all. The guy decided he wanted a healthier lifestyle, so they both started eating better, working out, and making visible progress. But after a while, the woman got tired of the effort and wanted to go back to their old routines. She stopped supporting his goals and even pressured him to revert as well. He realized that being around her habits, seeing her sit for hours, snacking and watching TV, was dragging him down. In the end, he made a difficult choice. He ended the relationship to protect his progress, and with a new environment, he continued on and reached his health goals. Your environment isn't just your physical space. If you're trying to stay creative, grow your art, or build new habits, but you're constantly surrounded by people who dismiss your efforts, distract you, or pressure you to stop, that's going to affect your motivation. Sometimes you've got to step away from what you're used to keep moving forwards. It's not that artists are unmotivated. They're often just operating in environments that don't reinforce their work, or worse, they are punishing it. When you understand that behavior follows patterns of reinforcement, you can start to work with your environment. You can build habits, you can create routines, you can make art more often, not by pushing through and forcing it, but by designing your world around you to support you. And before we end, there's one thing I didn't really dive into today, and that's something called intrinsic reinforcement. You know that feeling where you're just into what you're doing? Like you're making music or drawing and time just flies? You're in the zone. That's not just passion or some magical inspiration, it's actually something we can understand and build through behavior. It's very interesting, and I'm thinking of doing a whole video just on that. So if that sounds cool to you, let me know in the comments. And thank you guys for making it until the end of the video once again. If this helped you see motivation in a new way, hit the like button so that the gods of the algorithm throws it to more artists like you. Subscribe for more content on emotional support for artists to keep aiding your creative life. And share this with someone who you think could be useful to. Keep making your stuff. See you in the next video. Keep on keeping on.